All right, coming up on this episode of Table Culture, we're going to be talking about Forbidden Island, the 2010 game from Matt Leacock. You might know him as the creator of literally everything Pandemic. So you're going to want to check this video out. All right, we're back for another episode of Table Culture. I'm Tim.
I'm Mike.
And we're talking about Forbidden Island.
Yep.
So I don't know how you feel about this game, Mike, but I think this is actually another great gateway game. And it seems like we've kind of just been doing gateway games in our reviews, but I mean, you've played Pandemic and probably most of the versions as well, and you've played Forbidden Desert too. How do you feel about this one? Like, I think this one is a pretty simple version of literally all that. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mentioned before is that I experienced Forbidden Desert first.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time Island was out and I was kind of checking them both out. But I chose Desert to purchase and stuck with that, and I felt good about my purchase as Desert is kind of an upgrade on what Forbidden Island offers.
Yeah.
But in more recent year, I've played Island a few times, and I think it actually stands on its own quite well, even though it's given that sort of seem to be replaced. Because because the navigating the tiles and the board as the board starts to sink is actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
And although Forbidden Desert has the shifting sands moving it around, well, you do manipulate the tiles with the sand, but with Island, it's still a very enjoyable game. And
yeah. It plays really quickly too. I mean, it only takes about 30 minutes to play it. And again, I don't know, that seems to be a theme in all the reviews we've done, but it's a very accessible game. Whereas something like Pandemic or any of the other editions like The Cure or Iberia or and literally any of them, those all take at least an hour to play. Like, this is a very fast-paced game, and it's a cooperative game, and there's action points and all that stuff. So you get the same flavor, but you don't have to invest as much energy in moving your little guy around the board, and like you have same thing rules like pilot and messenger and navigator, all these things, right? So it's got a lot of really great mechanics in it. So you'll be able to get to individual treasures that are indicated by there, and then you have depending on how many players you play with. If you play with the messenger role, for example, which is
this pond,
which would be that pond, you can have the ability to get treasure cards to a player anywhere on the island for one action point, or you could shore up specific tiles for one action. Like, you can shore up 2 tiles, so you can do that from anywhere. So there's
and then shoring up just flips them.
just means flipping the tiles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the chart.
because as you play through the game, this will rise.
Yeah, so the difficulty becomes a factor in terms of how quickly the game ends, right?
Yeah.
It actually starts out fairly
slow, right?
slow.
Because this is the number of tiles that flip from under or above water to drowned.
And then
so to
after
speak.
it hits the second time, it disappears.
Yeah.
So it shares that mechanic with Pandemic in the sense that if something happens more than once to an area,
Gets worse.
bad things happen.
Yeah.
The other thing that's one of the main aspects of the game is collecting these trophies. Because collecting these cards. Because in this deck is how you'll get some special actions and the water rises. So that's when more tiles start to flood. And
So we talked about
game clock.
the game clock. This is the game clock, which is going to determine how many tiles are turned over every time the waters rise.
Yeah.
So,
And then there's some special action cards in here as well. But you go through this deck just trying to draw sets of the treasures.
Yeah, no, that's actually, I forgot about this until we started talking about it.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I do like this is the fact that the tiles come off the board.
yeah, so
Like
that's a different element.
with Desert, you just get more sand tossed on top, right?
Yeah, so you in that one you're pulling extra tiles off. In this one, you're losing workable area.
Yeah, and so you actually have to, I've found in some of the games, you have to be strategic about what you allow to be flooded and what you keep refreshing. Because there is one of the abilities is to put the cards back,
That's right.
right, to flip them so that they're no longer underwater,
Yeah.
which you have to do to collect the.
The treasures, because
Yeah.
if those go underwater, like if you lose both line tiles,
Yeah.
and then you can't get, like this one disappears. Now you're
Yeah, you absolutely have to go there. And if that one as well disappears, then you've lost the game because
Yeah.
then you can't get the treasures.
Whenever the waters rise, depending on where you're on the chart,
Yes.
this is what tells you what tiles get flipped.
Oh, right.
So this is just a deck.
There's a specific deck associated with the tiles, which is actually also how you determine. I think you use it to determine what tiles to flip, but I think you can use it to help you in setup if you want to make sure you're randomly placing tiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For what it is, I mean, and it comes in a tin box, and it's like a really, really great price point too. I think I paid like $25 or $30 for it when I picked it up. Like it was
Yeah.
not like you don't have to spend a lot to invest in this.
No.
Yeah, and then again the miniatures are really nice too. Like
Yeah, for a low budget game, the production quality is quite excellent. The tiles are actually nice, thick, chunky.
yeah, they're nice cardstock, which is
Yeah.
crazy. And Matt Leacock, he knows what he's doing. Like he may be something of a one-trick pony, but he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. He knows at least how to spin that trick over and over, right?
Yeah, and and I think if you want to try any of the other Game Right games, I mean, there's Sushi Go and similar. And we're talking about this too. Similar treatment, like they do it in tin, and they do a good job of manufacturing. So I don't know. Like this is one of those reviews where it's like, I don't know how much we can say about it because it's so straightforward.
Yeah. It is pretty straightforward, but it's enjoyable just to play. So I mean, I think we're kind of repeating ourselves a bit, but
Yeah.
with Forbidden Island, it's just enjoyable. The biggest difference between it and Desert, I would say, is that if you or the people you game with struggle with spatial reasoning, Forbidden Desert is a little bit confusing in how the store moves around just with the symbology on the cards.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
So this is a little bit easier for people to digest, and so you might prefer this over Desert. And if spatial reasoning is an issue that you or your gaming group have, definitely give this a consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it plays any age. Like you can play this with a 9-year-old or you can play this with a 90-year-old.
Yeah.
So, that said, I think this has been a good kind of overview of the game. I personally think it's a really great game, and I know Mike likes it too because we wouldn't have done it if he didn't like it.
For sure.
So that said, I hope you enjoyed our review. Leave a like, leave some comments. Let us know what you think about Forbidden Island. Do you like Forbidden Desert better? And subscribe to the channel, of course. So with your support, we're able to do more of these reviews, and we can give you a little bit more perspective. So that said, this has been Table Culture. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Okay. We're gonna have great outtakes of us trying to get this stupid fucking tin cover to stand up.
Every time you bump the table.
I'm literally on eggshells right now. Not literally, metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay.
The new literally.
I know. It drives me nuts.